Hello everyone, welcome to another live session of Quadrant Lunch Talk. Of course, if you guys are here and live with us, just do pop out in the chat, say hello and everything. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to also post them so that I can really answer them as well. So today I'm going to answer or basically look at one of the more interesting news recently, right, which is about this one thing called overpaying for freehold properties. So I think we all know or we all have heard about, and it's a very common comparison throughout Singaporeans, is that, hey, should I actually buy a freehold property or leasehold property, right? Of course, most of the time, if you have limited knowledge in terms of property investing or what to buy, typically, of course, you will always see freehold as the safer option, which is then, of course, if you ask me as well, I think that is also ultimately a safer option. Why first? Because if you think about it, even if you enter the property price, a freehold property price at the wrong, you buy it at the wrong price, that means let's say it's valued at 1 million, but yet you bought it at 1.1 million. If you think about it, you stretch it over the course of 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, right? I think the probability of you ever losing money will be very, very, very low, because ultimately these freehold properties are basically yours forever to keep as long as you don't sell them. So is you think about it in that scenario compared to, let's say, a 99 years leasehold property where, let's say, you've accidentally overpaid for it for some reason, right? And that is where, to make back the money, basically in the next 30, 40 years, you are also racing against time, because then that's where the leasehold property starts decreasing on a year-to-year basis. Hi, Jacqueline. Hi. Okay, so in that scenario, yes, you think about it on a very big macro level, yes, freehold properties are technically always safer as compared to leasehold properties, especially if you have no idea what you're doing. Okay, so but of course here now we are looking at a lot of other factors, such as available resources, such as, are we actually going to stay in this property for 30 years, or are we looking to upgrade along the every 3 to 4 years, and so on and so forth. All these factors will come to play, which then will decide really if you are really pretty much overpaying for this freehold property, or are you actually better off buying leasehold property. So let's start roughly look into this. Now, this whole, of course, topic came about because of this one article over here, okay, which is that are buyers or people are questioning, right, or these editors actually questioning, is that are buyers actually overpaying for freehold properties? So why does this came in the first place? So because of two main data. Number one is that through research that they found out, basically, if you talk of depreciation of land, basically, freehold property premium should have been a 4% plus of a premium above a 99 years leasehold property. So they did various studies and say, hey, actually by right, due to the land decay and so forth, only should be a 4% higher price. However, by looking back at the data in terms of the actual reality of it, is that now people are basically paying over 10+% a premium as compared to leasehold property. So now that boils down to this article, is are buyers actually paying the additional 6-7% higher price as compared to what they were supposed to pay for. Now, where they actually get this few rough data is through this thing called a Bala table. So a Bala table basically dictates, in Singapore context, the depreciation of land, throughout year on a year-to-year basis. So that is where they roughly get in the context of, is this freehold property so-called what is supposed to be valued at as compared to the leasehold property. Now, let's take one step back and let's try to analyze this together. Okay, is that when we talk about property by whole, technically in Singapore or throughout the world, there is basically two things. What makes a value of a property is basically land and building. Land and building. Okay, this is very obvious in the landed property space, but less obvious in the condominium, the private property space, the condominium high-rise building, right? But if you think about it, guys, if you're buying a condo, actually what you're actually buying, you're buying a small part, as part of the land shared with everyone else. So that's basically, you guys are now technically owning a small parcel of that very big plot of land that the developer have basically bought and now sold to you guys. So that is just what it means. So now, when you look at it in a bigger picture now, it doesn't matter if it's freehold land or leasehold land, the building, right, is something that is indifferent, be it be it in a freehold land or leasehold land. And therefore, the building structure will always depreciate in terms of value along the years. So that doesn't change. So be it freehold or leasehold, that will always depreciate pretty much at the same pace. If you consider the fact that both are the same, what we call same build, and everything looks the same side by side. So what really makes a difference is actually just the land decaying when it comes to the private property. So now, when we look into this perspective over here, then that is where then now we want to determine, is it are we actually overpaying for this particular freehold land as compared to this whole land? Now, when you look into this, are actually buyers overpaying? You must understand this one thing. In the market, in a free market like Singapore, when it comes to a private property, it's a free market. So it's all about willing buyer, willing seller at the end of the day. So what determines as overpaying is something that ultimately is determined by the market and shouldn't be determined by the Bala table. So you ask me the whole Bala table, if you Google Bala table, they have this whole calculation in terms of depreciation of land, right? I think that will actually be more suitable for determining the land cost and the land value of, let's say, the public housing. But that's something that is the same throughout, mostly the same throughout, right? The builders and everything are mostly roughly the same throughout. Now, when it comes to private property, it's all about willing buyer, willing seller. And then there comes a lot more complexity, such as this because developer bought the opposite land at a higher price, now my land value is now worth more, right? So all this complexity comes into play. So how do we really determine if you're actually overpaying for a freehold property or not? Now, let's look into a few possibilities over here. Yeah, so basically freehold just means that you own a property for forever. Okay, now let's look into these few possibilities over here. Now, we look at commercial or residential investment. I think the number one thing here is that let's focus a lot more into the residential investment space, so freehold versus this. So that's where we have more experience. We have more experience in this space itself. Now, as an investor, home investor or homeowner, so what does this mean? I'm going to explain to you. Home investor means that you have multiple properties. You are making it purely based on ROI. Home investor is basically if you are putting yourself in a position where you want to stay and yet you want the property to appreciate. Homeowner just means that ultimately you're just looking to buy and you don't care if you make money or lose money. Typically, we buy the penthouses and public housing, and so we just want to look at the place to stay. We don't really care about investing stuff. Now let's put on a hat, meaning on a home investor point of view. Okay. Freehold properties now today, guys, I want you to understand, freehold properties now today is all derived mainly from en blocs. So government are basically not really, is pretty much not launching any land that is a freehold nowadays, or I don't think they've launched freehold in a while. So it's all en bloc. So number one thing to consider is that freehold, developer have to buy from old developments, and they've tear down. So because they buy from old developments, you think about it, they usually tend to pay a premium. That's number one, tend to pay a premium. Now, number two, because they pay a premium, they now need to pass on this additional premium back down to the buyers, the new buyers that they're going to sell to. And therefore, it's only predictable that all freehold properties tend to be a way higher price as compared to the leasehold so-called developments moving forward, or has been for the last couple of years. Okay. Now, when should you consider to buy a freehold property as compared to leasehold? Now that you know that more or less it's always going to be higher price than compared to the leasehold property. If you actually consider yourself actually shifting out of this house, then you think about it, leasehold or freehold doesn't matter to you. I want to repeat this. If you actually foresee yourself shifting out within a short term, that means the next 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, let's say now you're staying in 2-bedders and you know you're going to upgrade to a 3-bedder sooner or later because the family is going to grow, then you think about it, owning a freehold property technically have no relevance to you gaining the value in a long-term perspective. Because freehold is meant to gain value in a long-term perspective compared to a leasehold property. But if let's say you're 55-year-old today, or 50-year-old today, and you expect this to be your final home for your kids, and you want to pass on to your kids and everything, then yes, you will minimally want to go for a freehold property, or in the worst case scenario, go for a very, very newly launch 99 years leasehold property, because you want to ensure that time is not against you. So is it then worth it to pay that premium for that freehold property because you are forcing yourself to be able to hold for the next 20, 30 years for your future generation? Then yes, then that will make perfect sense then for you to then pay that premium for the freehold property, as compared to if you were just looking to stay for the next 4 to 5 to 6 years, and you know that you're definitely not going to stay here forever, because be it your kids going to graduate from primary school to secondary school, and they will not want to maybe stay in this particular district, or whichever your kids are now in the preschool and then going to a primary school that you love in, let's say, Ang Mo Kio, where now you're in Clementi. I mean, if you foresee that these things happen, then you think about it, guys, it really doesn't make sense for you to lock up more money to freehold properties because you do not know what, just because you feel safer to buy a freehold property. You'd rather buy the leasehold private property. You have lesser cash stuck into the property, and at the next 4 to 5 years, then you look to sell, and then of course, then from there, if you think that is then going to be a permanent home, then hey, yes, then go ahead to buy a freehold property. So this home investor mindset then becomes a very, very important point of view when it comes to them purchasing a freehold or leasehold property. So it's a lot about individual, what you're going to do with your property in the next 5 to 6 years. If you can answer that question for yourself, then it becomes very clear to actually buy a freehold or leasehold property. Now, if you're going to a resale market, I want you guys to understand this one thing as well. It really doesn't matter is it freehold or leasehold in the resale market. Let me share you why. So in the resale market, if you think about it as an investor, guys, as an investor, we never ever want to overpay for a unit or for a property, doesn't matter 99 years leasehold or freehold property, if you already have data right at your fingertips. So what I mean data? Past transactions has always been, has already been published. You can get it from your agents, from SRX, you can get it from squarefoot.com, actually, you can get it from SoReal Investor. I mean, there's so many data out there that you can actually pull out to really understand what's the past transaction. Now, then if you put on an investor mindset, if you guys are still going to want to overpay for a unit that has been previously transacted at say 1 million, and you want to choose to pay 1.1 million, then ultimately it doesn't matter you buy freehold or leasehold, right? You're really overpaying for something. Now the gameplay for resale market, guys, the game for a resale market is ultimately you want to spend a little bit more time to find something that is of under market value or minimally fair value. You don't want to overpay for something, and therefore, guys, once again, it doesn't matter if it's leasehold or freehold. If you choose to go into the resale market and overpay for something, then you are always going to enter it at a disadvantage as compared to the rest. Okay, so now, before I go down to the next 2 points, okay, if you guys are getting some value now so far, right? I think this is a very interesting topic. It's always been the most loved, arguable freehold leasehold point in the last many years in Singapore, right? If you guys are getting some value of this, hey, do type in the chat, hey, thank you, or yes, you're getting, yes, you guys are getting some value. But most importantly, hey, I would love for you guys to really subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page as well, okay? So that then, if you guys do not know, we are posting videos and everything to really continuously upgrade you guys' knowledge. At the same time, also help us to also be a better educator as well, because why to basically talk about all these, we also need to research and we also need to know our stuff. So subscribe to our channel and of course just to enjoy the free content that's going to come your way. Okay, now carrying on, guys, is it now paying a premium? So now we talk about paying a premium for it. My thought process is this, is that freehold is expected to have a premium. It doesn't make sense for it to not have a premium. Okay, I'll give you a very simple example. If you look at, let's say, the recent new launch, last year new launch, we have, let's say, these 2 new launch, Dane 3 and Verdale. One is a freehold, one is a leasehold. Now, the freehold went to launch at roughly the same price as the leasehold. Of course, then obviously the freehold one is just going to make way more sense to purchase as compared to the leasehold 99 years property itself. So when we look at it, we want to look at what we call the ladder of it. 99 years leasehold must always be technically less valuable as compared to a freehold property due to the fact that the 99 years leasehold will always have a decaying effect. Okay, now when you look at this aspect once again, do remember, guys, in all freehold properties will definitely need you to pay a premium. My perspective and through my research, we already know that 10% is something that the market is willing to pay. Be it the data or Bala table dictates otherwise to say that it's only 4% difference in a sense. The market is the main thing that you want to look at. the market data, the main thing I look at. And therefore, the market has already determined that it is about a 10% premium as compared to the freehold versus a 99 years leasehold property, 10% premium. Now, so if you think about it, guys, if the market is willing to pay a 10% premium, and if you manage to buy a freehold property, everything same close beside each other at a 5% premium, then that is a move that you want to make. Because in that scenario, then you are basically getting a 5% margins for you to make money, because the market is have already proven to be able or want to pay a 10% premium for between a freehold and leasehold. Yeah, even though guys, the Bala table said that yes, it should only be a 4% premium, but that doesn't matter. That data have no relevance, because the most important data that you want to look at is the market, is what is people willing to pay. And therefore, as investors, we are here to make money, so trust the market data rather than the Bala table data. Okay, let's put it as that. Okay, so in this scenario, 10% is pretty much a maximum you will ever want to pay a premium for a freehold property. Okay, but once you put that in the mindset of when are you a home investor, are you looking to shift in a short-term basis and long-term basis for you to then make that final decision. Okay, so what is the right price? Ultimately, once again, if you guys are able to buy a freehold property, same age, I thought same age in terms of building and not in terms of land, same age in terms of building. If the freehold property is 10 years old and the leasehold property is 10 years old, guys, both are 10 years old, and that's the building structure, and the premium, guys, is less than 10%, then you know that obviously the freehold property is going to be a way better buy as compared to the leasehold property. Okay, why? Because the land will have already depreciated 10 years, plus the market has proven to buy a 10% higher price, which means that you have more than a 10% margin now to technically make in a shorter term period. Okay, so in this scenario, then freehold becomes an obvious choice. Okay, if now we want to compare two new launch, again, when you ever compare two new launch, if the freehold and the leasehold both are the same price, then of course you buy the freehold. If both, let's say freehold just 3 to 5% higher price as a leasehold, both also same side by side, then of course you want to buy the freehold. Because why? The market has already determined that 10%, guys, 10% is the margin of premium that the market is willing to pay. So just take this into consideration when you actually make your next property move and next property market. So once again, in summary is this. A few things you want to take note of. Number one, are you looking to buy and sell in a short-term basis, or are you looking to hold this in the next 20 to 30 years to come because you are unable to get loans anymore? If you are unable to get loans anymore, then you want to focus a lot into freehold. If you are looking to say that, hey, I'm going to shift in the next 4 to 5 years, then you think about it, it makes more sense for you to put less stress in your finances when you to actually buy a leasehold property where it's typically going to be 10% cheaper, guys. Going to be 10% cheaper, so it adds less stress to your pocket. Because anyway, guys, you're going to sell it. You're going to sell it off in the next 4 to 5 years. So freehold or leasehold status doesn't matter. Now, even then, you look at it on second number two, on a profit perspective, we really understand that the market is willing to pay a 10% premium when it comes to freehold versus leasehold. So if you see side by side data once again, okay, and you understand the perspective that now how to look at freehold property as undervalued in a sense. You remember to compare not the land age, guys. You must compare in the building age. So if both are built at the same time, roughly the same age itself. Okay, then if the premium is only like less than 10% higher, then you know that's also a pretty good deal by itself. Okay, so that is just a few data you want to look at. Remember, guys, 10% premium is what the market is willing to pay, number one. And number two, do understand that if you are going to make a short-term move or a long-term move, freehold don't need to say, all right, or a very new 99 years lease, so short-term move, then it really doesn't matter, all right? You go to the resale market, you just want to buy it as low as possible. Okay, so with this, I hope you guys have gotten some value, a little bit more insights into freehold and leasehold. Of course, there's really so many other factors that we have to talk about to really have a whole more complete picture according to be your profile, what you have to do, your family plans, what other investments that you have, and so on and so forth, to give a much bigger picture. But at least if you guys are looking to make a very short-term decision on freehold and leasehold, I hope that these have given you a little bit more clarity in terms of what to consider. Okay, and you know what, guys, always continuously invest safe, and ultimately, of course, do always invest most important in yourself, your knowledge, and do subscribe. And because of that, I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, to then be more in tune with the market. Okay, with this, I'm Shawn, co-founder of iQuadrant. Hope you guys have gotten value, and I'll see you guys soon again. See you. Bye.